Hello. Today is day 6 of my 75 booked challenge, but it's also day 1 of my second vlog. So in my last video, I said that I was going to try to finish Heartstopper Volume 5 during the vlog, and then I said that I'd probably just read the rest on my own so that I could start with a new book series today, but that actually didn't happen because I got home from work late and I just was super tired, so I didn't end up reading later that night. So I think I am going to start off this vlog by finishing Heartstopper Volume 5, which would be super exciting so that I can pre-order the 6th volume that's coming out in July. So now that I'm about 1 week in, I do like the challenge so far, just because it really does force me to actually read more. But the one negative I would say is that the challenge does feel a little bit overwhelming. I was making a sticky note wall. It's to my left. You can't see it because it's off screen. But when I was finishing up the sticky note wall, it just took up way more space than I was initially imagining that it would. And then I was also 75 days is kind of a lot of days. And it's just kind of overwhelming to look at. But I've already made it through the first 5, and I'm hoping that I can stay consistent. And the way that I plan this for me to do the challenge is that starting in June, I would be able to finish it by about mid-August. That way I can wrap this all up and finish all of my editing for the last few weeks of the vlog before I have to go back to school. But yeah, so today hopefully I can finish Volume 5, and if I don't finish it, I know I said this last time, but if I don't finish it in the reading session, I really do want to finish it tonight. And I get off work earlier today, so I should have time to read before I go to bed. And then after that, I should be starting Sunrise on the Reaping, because I've been putting that off for the longest time. I actually pre-ordered the book as soon as it came out, but when it arrived, I was in school, and then that summer, I tried to read it and just got a little too sad over it and just stopped reading it completely. But I really, really want to finish it this summer so that I can be prepared for the movie that's coming out in November. So that's next on my list for the vlog. But after that, I really don't know what I'm gonna read next. So I filmed a summer TBR video, and there was a lot of books on my summer TBR. I will link the video so that you guys can go and check out what books I'm planning to read over this summer. But I'm essentially almost through the first 3 things on my list, which were the main ones that I really wanted to finish this summer. The other ones, obviously, I want to read, but I didn't really have any sort of idea of what order I'm going to read them in, and they're not really ranked in importance. So I will have to just look at my list and figure out what I want to read next. Anyways, yeah, that's it. I should probably start reading before I have to go to work. So today is day 6, and I'm not sure if you can tell a difference in my lighting, but I am filming a lot later in the day than usual. Usually I try to film like late morning to like early afternoon, but that didn't happen today. I had work and then I took a long nap. So here I am in the early evening filming. And yesterday I actually did finish volume 5 of Heartstopper, so I can wrap that up and get started on my next book. And the next book on my list is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. And I really want to read this summer because I tried to read it last summer and I just didn't get through it. But the movie is coming out in November, so it's pretty high on my priority list to finish. And I'm glad that since I'm starting it in June, that will give me like a lot of time to hopefully finish it and still have time to read other things this summer. But this is an actual novel instead of a graphic novel, so this will definitely take me longer to read than the Heartstopper books did. I'm hoping though I can get through this in maybe like no more than 2 weeks. So like the rest of this vlog and then another weekly vlog, and hopefully I'll be able to finish it. If not, I might keep reading it, but like start something else so that I have something else to talk about in the vlog, just because I don't want it to get boring with me talking about the same book for like a long time. So I already read up to chapter 4, and I feel like I remember pretty decently like what was going on. I remember being introduced to like multiple characters. Haymitch is working like with this lady who illegally sells alcohol in District 12, and I did get through the reaping where Haymitch actually wasn't picked from the bowl, but the boy that was picked tried to run and then they killed him, which an interesting detail that we learned from this book is that the live stream for the reapings and like all the things, I think they said it's like a 5-minute delay. So they were able to like redo the reaping and then essentially like cut it out of the stream so nobody would know what happened. But I feel like I remember pretty well like what all went down in the first 4 chapters, but I might like either reread from the beginning or like just kind of skim the first 4 chapters to make sure that I know what's going on as I continue. So I'm back. Today is day 8 of 75 books. So yesterday I started my second attempt at reading Sunrise on the Reaping. I got a little further than like the first chapter, and I was right when I read it the first time. This is very, very sad. And I don't remember from like the first Hunger Games book, like how quickly the story goes into like the reaping and stuff. But in this one, the reaping literally happens the very first chapter. And then I'm getting into the portion where like they're gonna do like the goodbyes and stuff. And I'm just remembering from the last time that I read this portion, like I really don't know how I feel about Plutarch. Because he, obviously in the main trilogy, like he's a big part of the revolution, but in this, like, I don't know, the way he's like trying to make things work for the screen just feels so exploitative. And I'm like, I know that he plays a positive role later, but like, I don't know. He's just giving me weird vibes. But I'm going to read for another 30 minutes today and hopefully get through like another chapter or so. Once I get back to chapter 4, I'll be caught up to where I read before, and then I'll be like reading new content. So I feel like it can definitely be seen in the video that it is very dark. There's actually zero sunlight outside, and I'm relying entirely on my lamps in this room. And that's because it is 11:30 p.m., but I'm dedicated to this, and I definitely will not be failing. I was gonna say anywhere before like halfway through. Let's say anywhere before a quarter through, because I don't want to jinx myself. But I'm trying to stay on top of this. But today, like, it was just another one of those days. I woke up late and then I did my hair today. You can tell it's freshly done, retwisted. And then after that, I just needed a nap, and then I had to go to work. And then I got off work late, and then I had an assignment that was due at 11:59. So I finished that with some time to spare. But now I still need to do my 30 minutes of reading. And I will be starting it today, but like not finishing it until technically tomorrow. But honestly, even if I stayed up and didn't start my reading until like 1 a.m. the next day, I would probably still count it, because when I think about my day, I don't think the day has really ended until I go to sleep. Like, it doesn't matter if it's crossed the 12 o'clock mark. If I'm still awake, it's still the day before. But I'm starting this before the clock has hit 12. I'm still on Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm only a few pages from where I left off the last time, so probably today I'll be getting into some new content that I haven't read yet. But I'm really hoping that I can finish this, like, I don't know, maybe even by the end of next week. But yeah, I've been making good progress. I want to keep getting through this book. It is pretty sad. I feel like The Hunger Games is such like a deep franchise in general, and like, when you read it as a kid, because I read it for the first time, I want to say in 7th grade, and a lot of the themes like kind of went over my head, but like every time I read it again or like watch the movies again, I feel like I have a deeper and deeper understanding of it, and it makes me really sad because I can like draw the parallels between the book and like real life, and it's just honestly kind of depressing. But the writing is really good, and it's great storytelling, which is why I continue to read them, but it really does hurt sometimes. 10, which should be the end of my second vlog. And I did officially pass where I left off the last time I tried to read this, and I'm into some new content. Haymitch and the rest of the tributes from like all the other districts have arrived in the capital, and they're meeting their stylists and stuff. Initial thoughts so far, I do feel like the story is just a little bit repetitive. And by that, I mean it feels very similar to the first Hunger Games book. And I think that's just because it's following the same kind of perspective of a kid that's being reaped and sent into the Hunger Games. So a lot of what's happening, like the process, is very similar to what Katniss goes through in the first Hunger Games book. And while I do think that it's interesting to read Haymitch's perspective, because in the first book, they don't really talk much about his games at all, and he is a significant character later on. I do also wonder like how much overall the book is going to contribute to like the depth of the series, because while I didn't enjoy The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes that much, I do feel like it was really interesting and added a lot of depth to the story because it was giving Snow's background. Because in the first 3 books, he kind of just seems evil just for the sake of being evil, and I feel like a lot of villains tend to feel that way to the reader until you get their backstory, which I feel like a lot of authors do either in a prequel or a novella. And one of my like favorite examples of this is the Lunar Chronicles. There's a novella called Ferris, which is basically giving Queen Lavanna's backstory. And I feel like it really like deepens the story to understand her background, because without it, she kind of just feels like a cartoon villain who's just maniacally evil for no reason. So that's why I really valued The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes story, even though I didn't necessarily enjoy the book as much as the original trilogy. But since Sunrise on the Reaping is in the same perspective as the Hunger Games, coming from a kid that's going into the Hunger Games, it does just feel a little bit repetitive. But I'm hoping that the story will add more like depth to the series that I just haven't seen so far, because I have heard really good reviews about this book, so I really hope that I enjoy it, because I am excited to go see the movie in November.